The whole of Unit 6 one more time from the very beginning, in a way. Unit 6 is about the past tense, how we use other verbs in the past simple form. Beta, take that chair and sit here. Yeah, yes, fine. Um, we started Unit 6 with the story of that lady from America, Oprah Winfrey, and we read text where the verbs were in the past form. She lived, she studied, she went to, she moved to, and we also learned questions, how we make questions. Sit at the back, please, Keshav. Yes. So this story that we are going to read today about that musician called what is his name? The text that you read, John Lennon. John Lennon. So in that text again, you will see everything: the past simple positive sentences, negative sentences, question sentences, and it will be a good revision for everything you have studied so far. Okay, let's check. John Lennon. And beta, we use in before names of years, in 2009, not on 2009. Okay, just like in Hindi. In Hindi we say 2009 May. In English we say in 2009. Okay. Hmm. Now let's read the text. We will do the question answers a bit later. Okay, exercises. Let's read the text together. John Lennon. We see 1940-1980, which gives a clue that he was born in 1940, right? How do we form the sentence? He was born in 1940. Learners of English often drop was and say he born. Wrong English. He was born in 1940 and he died in 1980. Okay. So in the first sentence, he was born. We will look at be verb. And in the second sentence, he died in 1980. We look at the verb die in the past form. He died in 1980 and he was born in 1940. He didn't live a long life. He didn't live a long life. He was only 40 years old when he died. John Lennon was one of the Beatles. There was a band called the Beatles in the past, and he was one of the members. He was one of the Beatles. The Beatles here is written with capital T, capital B. So it is not a common noun that you need to understand the meaning of. Okay? It is a proper noun. He was one of the Beatles. The Beatles was a group, a band. He was one of the band. Okay? He was one member of the band. He was one of the Beatles. And the band was called the Beatles. Yeah, it is a proper noun. Okay? Capital T, capital B. He was one of the Beatles. With Paul McCartney, he wrote some of the greatest songs of the 20th century. Okay. You often hear now you are reading some of the. Okay, one of my uncles, not one of my uncle, okay, everybody? One of my friends, not one of my friend. It's a common error. Learners of English often use singular after one of because they think one, which is singular, so they end up using a singular noun as well. They say, one of my cousin. No, that's wrong English. You have multiple cousins, one of them. So one of my cousins, one of my teachers, okay? Similarly, one of the best songs, one of the best songs, plural, lots of songs, multiple songs, one of them, okay? By the way, here the sentences, he wrote some of the best songs, greatest songs of the 20th century. The 20th century ended in 2000, okay? The 20th century ended in 2000. From 2001, the 21st century started. Okay, so guys, we are talking about here the 20th century, this guy, John Lennon, wrote some of the greatest songs of the 20th century. Mm, he was very, very talented, very successful, but unfortunately, he died at a young age. John Lennon had an unhappy childhood. Now, you see here a past tense, the verb in the past form. It's very simple. The verb, put the verb in the past simple form, and your past simple sentence is ready. जॉन लेनन had an unhappy childhood. उनका बचपन बहुत अच्छा नहीं रहा. उनका बचपन बहुत अच्छा नहीं था. He had an unhappy childhood. Did you have an unhappy childhood, guys? Lucky you, right? Okay. John Lennon had an unhappy childhood. Now, in the next sentence, you read why his childhood was unhappy. In what way? In what way was his childhood unhappy? In what way was his childhood unhappy? Tell me. Yes, normally children grow up with mummy and papa. You had mummy and papa both in your house, taking care of you, loving you, providing for you, right? But here, his father left home when he was only 5. Imagine this. His father left home, and his mother couldn't bring him up. She couldn't talks about lack of ability. I couldn't swim, okay, until last year, actually. I couldn't swim until last year. Last year or this year? Let's see. Until this year. I think I learned to swim this year in the month of March or April, I think. May, June, July. My memory of time is a little bad, I'm kind of forgetting. But recently, until recently, I couldn't swim until recently. If you notice, not being able to remember a time correctly, precisely, doesn't mean you can't speak English. Sometimes you guys feel you're not sure about the time, then you think how you will say it. You will say it the way it comes to your mind. I first said, I think I learned it last year. Okay. Then I realized perhaps it was this year. And then again, I'm having the, second thoughts, means I'm not sure. Then I said, okay, my memory with time is not very good. So, okay, fine. It's okay. I'm not very sure about when I learned it until recently. I couldn't swim until recently. I couldn't swim until हाल फिलहाल तक हमको स्विमिंग नहीं आती थी. हाल फिलहाल तक हमको स्विमिंग नहीं आती थी. I couldn't swim until it means I learned swimming very recently. Okay. Yeah. And I can't swim very well, anyways. Just a beginner. I can stay on water. I can float on water, maybe make a few meters distance, cover a few meters distance, but I'm not a swimmer yet because these things need a lot of practice. Skills need practice. If you are developing skills, you need to practice any skills, whether you're making rotis, first time you make rotis and the 10th time you make rotis, your 10th performance is usually better than the first one because you get the practice. Writing A, B, C, D. The first time you write A, B, C, D, they're not so beautiful. But when you write them the 100th time, then that performance, ABCD definitely looks better than the first attempt. So skills need practice. And that's why when somebody joins a class to learn to speak English, not just to gain knowledge of English, you can sit in a class where the teacher is speaking Hindi and talking about English, you can gain knowledge. But that's not called a skill, okay? So to gain knowledge, you don't need practice. You need to be just clever, intelligent, and you can gain knowledge. But to develop a skills, besides having knowledge, you need practice as well. And that's why I keep encouraging you to practice in the group. That's why we have created the group. You see, yesterday we talked about dates in English, how to talk about dates in English, and some of the guys in the class wrote sentences in the group. They are more sure about how to say dates in English than those who did not practice at all. I'm 100% sure of it because those who practice, they have it in their mind. Practice helps. Anyways, his mother couldn't bring him up. Couldn't, okay? Or bring him up. Nice phrase. She couldn't bring him up. When a person brings up a child, he helps the child grow. Okay. Like your mama did, your papa did, they brought you up. They brought you up. They raised you. Another word for bring up is raise. Okay. Um, in Hindi, we say palan poshan karna, bada karna, So, yeah, his mom couldn't bring him up. His dad left home and his mother couldn't bring him up. Perhaps she didn't have the financial condition to raise a child, to bring up a child, or maybe she was just too busy. Being a single parent is not very easy, especially for a woman. I think it is equally difficult for a man as well. Yeah. When a man and a woman are together, somehow it's much easier to take care of a child. But if you leave the responsibility on one of them only, it becomes weirdly, strangely difficult. Most single parents fail to raise a child properly. Children who come from broken families where mummy and papa do not live together, a lot of times have problems, with their behavior, with their temperament. They find it difficult to, get along socially, to make friends, they struggle. Anyways, she couldn't bring him up. She couldn't raise him. भाई हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा, बाबू का देखभाल, बच्चे का देखभाल. She couldn't bring him up. She surrendered. So John lived with his aunt Mimi. Now, in English, when you say aunt, she could be his father's sister, or she could be his mother's sister, or maybe father's brother's wife, or mother's, brother's wife. Yeah, we don't know any one of those aunts. Okay. So he lived with his Aunt Mimi, until he was 19. You see another use of until here? He lived with his Aunt Mimi until he was 19. So when he was 17, when he was 18, he was with his aunt. But when he was 20, he was not with his aunt. He lived with his Aunt Mimi until he was 19. When he was 17, his mother died in a car crash. So another shock. Normally people do not lose their parents at such early age, right? But such an early age. But here, he lost his mother when he was only 17. When he was 17, his mother died in a car crash. See the use of when and until. Okay. He lived with his Aunt Mimi until he was 19. So this tells you something continued to a point. Okay. He lived with his Aunt Mimi. He lived with his Aunt Mimi. He lived with his Aunt Mimi. This continued to a point. Which point? He was 19. To that point, it continued. After that, it didn't continue. When he was 20, he was not with his Aunt Mimi. He was with his Aunt Mimi until he was 19. So, Beta, you wrote a sentence, Sam, in the group, and you wrote, "Why do you close your class and close your shop until 4 o'clock?" Why are you saying that? Because closing is not a continuous activity. You see, he lived with his Aunt Mimi until 19. So living is a continuous activity, right? You study until 8:30 here. Studying is a continuous activity, beta. Why did you say, why do you close your shop until 4? That sentence doesn't make much sense, beta. Closing is not a continuous activity. Is closing a continuous activity, or it just happens? Does the verb close has duration to it? Closing, close, बंद करना, has duration to it. इसमें duration होता है? नहीं होता duration. तो until के साथ कैसे बोले? कि why do you close your shop until 4? आप बोलना क्या चाहते हैं? कि 4 बजे क्यों बंद कर देते हैं दुकान, या 4 बजे तक क्यों बंद कर देते हैं दुकान, 5 बजे क्यों नहीं खुला रखते? If that was your question, then you needed either why do you close your shop at 4 o'clock? तो एट 4 o'clock हो जाता है अलग, वो 3:30 बजे बंद क्यों नहीं करते, 4 बजे क्यों करते हैं, 4:30 बजे क्यों नहीं करते, 4 बजे क्यों करते? तो एट मतलब वो टाइम, उसके पहले क्यों नहीं करते, उसके बाद क्यों नहीं करते, दैट इज द क्वेश्चन. Why do you get up at 6 o'clock? Means, why don't you get up at 7? Why don't you get up at 5? Right? लेकिन आप 4 बजे तक क्यों बंद कर देते हैं? Why do you close your shop by 4 o'clock? ये by में क्या होता है? Okay, so uh, let me share the link. Okay, so until now, uh, now I was just saying, if you use by in that constitution, until talks about continuity. You sleep until 6 o'clock means you open your eyes at 6 o'clock. You work until 7 o'clock, it means you stop working at 7 o'clock. You teach until 9 o'clock, it means at 9 o'clock you stop teaching. So when you do something until a point of time, at that point of time, you stop doing what you're doing. You do it until that point of time. Understand, beta? So this doing has a duration. Okay. You do anything until a point of time. It means you continue with that activity till that point, and then you stop. Okay. So why do you close your shop by 4 o'clock? BYY. By. It has a different meaning, I'll tell you. 11 बजे तक सो जाते हैं क्या? 10 बजे सो रहे होते हैं? नो, 11 बजे तक सो जाते हैं मीन्स ज्यादा से ज्यादा, राइट? दैट्स व्हाट यू मीन ना, कि 12 नहीं बजाते सोने में, सो जाते ज्यादा से ज्यादा. When that is the feeling idea, don't use the word until. Until talks about continuity. तो हिंदी में तक वर्ड इज यूज्ड, बट किसके साथ यूज हो रहा है? 11 बजे तक सो जाते हैं. सो जाते हैं यानी उसके पहले जागे रहते हैं, राइट? और दूसरा सेंटेंस में 11 बजे तक जागे रहते हैं. 11 बजे तक सो जाते हैं, 11 बजे तक जागे रहते हैं. In both the sentences, you are using the word tak, but it will be translated differently because क्या कह क्या रहे हो? 11 बजे तक जागे रहते हैं, एक एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है जागने का 11 बजे तक, फिर वो एक्शन स्टॉप हो जाता है. 11 बजे तक सो जाते हैं यानी ज्यादा से ज्यादा 11 बजे सो जाते हैं. वो एक्शन कंटिन्यू, सोने का एक्शन कंटिन्यू नहीं है. जो वर्ब आप बोल रहे हो सेंटेंस में, अगर वो कंटिन्यू होगा तो अनटिल, वो कंटिन्यू नहीं होगा तो अनटिल नहीं यूज करेंगे बाय तक के लिए, फिर बाय बोल देंगे. फिर से बताता हूँ. 11 बजे तक जागे रहते हैं, इसमें कौन सा एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है? जागने का एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है. 11 बजे तक पढ़ते हैं, इसमें कौन सा एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है? पढ़ने का. पापा 7 बजे तक काम करते हैं, कौन सा एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है? काम करने का. ओके. हम सुबह 7 बजे तक सोते रहते हैं, कौन सा एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है? तो जब कोई एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है किसी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम तक, तो अनटिल वर्ड यूज करेंगे उस एक्शन के साथ. हम मुंबई में रह रहे थे 14 साल की उम्र तक, रहने का एक्शन कंटिन्यू हुआ, मुंबई में रहने का एक्शन. आई लिव्ड इन मुंबई अंटिल आई वाज 14. तो ये अनटिल का सिचुएशन. कोई एक्शन कंटिन्यू होता है अंटिल अ सर्टेन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. ओके. बाकी कोई काम ज्यादा से ज्यादा इतने बजे होता है, उसके पहले हो जाएगा. ठीक है. ज्यादा से ज्यादा इतने बजे तक होगा. अगर आप कहते हैं हम 11 बजे तक सो जाते हैं, तो किसी दिन 10:30 बजे भी सो जाते होगे, किसी दिन 11:45 में सो जाते होगे, किसी दिन 10 बजे सो जाते होगे. ज्यादा से ज्यादा 11 बजे तक सो जाते. In that case, you will use by. I go to bed by 11 o'clock. At का मतलब है ना उससे पहले जाते हैं ना उसके बाद जाते हैं. लेकिन by का मतलब उसके पहले जा सकते हैं. ज्यादा वो है. I go to bed by 11 o'clock. हम पहुंच जाएंगे, 2:30 बजे तक पहुंच जाएंगे. हम 2:30 बजे तक पहुंच जाएंगे. इसमें कंटिन्यूटी की कोई बात नहीं होती. एक एक्शन होगा, उसका ज्यादा से ज्यादा टाइम ये दिया है. 2:30 बजे तक पहुंच जाएंगे. आप 2 बजे भी पहुंच सकते हो, 2:15 बजे भी पहुंच जाओगे, तो गलत नहीं होगी, क्योंकि आपने कहा था 2:30 बजे तक पहुंच जाएंगे. I'll reach there, I'll get there by 2:30. I'll get there by 2:30. जैसे कल अंटिल के लिए, सॉरी डेट के लिए प्रैक्टिस करी, क्योंकि कल वो सीखा था. आज रिकॉर्डिंग है, अंटिल और बाय दोनों की एक्सप्लेनेशन है. अब जो हंग्री हैं सीखने के लिए, इससे बेहतर. हाँ हाँ, इट्स नो सेल्फ प्रेज, मैं अपनी तारीफ नहीं कर रहा, बट आई जस्ट वांट टेल यू, बिकॉज आप जिसका बैकग्राउंड से आते हो, यू आर नॉट गोना गेट अ बेटर एक्सप्लेनेशन देन दिस to understand any vocabulary, word, grammar item, not anything. The way I'll explain it to you to understand, it will hit you where you will understand how you should use it. बाकी याद करने के लिए बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, ठीक है. I'm pretty sure there is no grammar class in this town. No teacher teaches a course where they do not explain the difference between until and by. Okay. But whether the students develop an understanding for the two words, I'm not very sure of that. Okay. Hmm. So, beta, when he lived with his aunt Mimi until he was 19, the action of living with his aunt continued to the point when he was 19 years old. Okay. And then that action stopped. He started living alone, maybe. He started living with his friends, maybe. But he did not live with his aunt Mimi after he was 19. Is that clear? Yeah, he lived with his aunt Mimi until he was 19. 19 साल की उम्र तक वो अपने आंटी के साथ रहता था. When he was 17, his mother died. His mother died. You can clearly see the verb here. Die is the verb in the past form. His mother died in a car crash. So that's how you put the verb in the past form. His mother died. No need to use any other was or have or had or anything. His mother died. Subject, his mother. V2, died. His mother died in a car crash. He went to, again you see subject he and the verb went, past simple. After seeing so many examples, I think any person, even with the most average IQ, will understand what they need to do when they speak English. They need to put the verb in the past form. And to get it right, they need to just think for a second, pause for a second and while speaking and ask, what's my verb? That's all. If you get your verb right, you put that verb in the past simple form, your sentence is okay. He went to Bank High School in Liverpool. Where was the school? It was in Liverpool. He met George Harrison and Paul McCartney. He met, again, you have subject plus verb to, met. He met. He met George Harrison and Paul McCartney. And in 1960, they started. Well, again, they started. Start is a verb. They started. वो मिला, उन लोगों ने शुरू किया. This is how you talk in English. And he met. They started a band called the Beatles. Now you know why the Beatles, right? Capital T, capital B. The Beatles is the name. By the way, Beatle is an English word, so it has a meaning. English words will have a meaning. Hindi words have a meaning. Yes, Divakar is a name, but Divakar has a meaning too. It means the sun, right? Rani is a name too, but Rani has a meaning as well, right? The wife of a king is called a Rani. So her husband would be Raja, okay? Rani, I want to ask you, did you ever get in that embarrassing situation where you were in a class and there was somebody called Raja? Oh my goodness. Did people tease you? Raja, Rani, did they do that at school? Did you hate your name in that time or did you hate that guy or did you like him? You hated the situation, no? I can understand. For young people, these things are very hard to deal with. I mean, now you can laugh at these things, but when you are young, you really don't like it. You know, when I was at school, coincidentally, my name wasn't Vinay Shankar Soni on the register. It was Rinku, my nickname. And for my bad luck, there was a girl called Rinku in my class too. Now imagine I was sharing my name with a girl. I was sharing my name with a girl in the class. It was so embarrassing for me as a young boy. I was 10, 11, 12. She was with me, I think, from class 6th until class 8th. Yeah, 3 years. And it was really embarrassing. 11 to 14, 3 years I had to put up with that embarrassing situation as a boy. Now, if there is a girl here called Sony and my title is Sony, I don't feel anything. If there is a girl called Rinku here and I mention that my nickname is Rinku too, I don't feel anything. When you grow up, you become a little strong, mature to accept things the way they are. But when you're a child, you have your own idea of things. And when things are different from your idea, then you do not like it. So when I was young, I thought I was a boy and I didn't want to be compared to a girl. And there I was with my name, the same name. There was a girl, Rinku. We had the same name. It was not nice to me. I felt very embarrassed. And the boys and the girls in the class teased me sometimes, especially the girls. They would call that girl Rinku and look at me to embarrass me. Rinku, and they would just look at me. Thank you. Was there a call? No. Hey, Tawhid, can you hear me? Oh, he's still joining. He hasn't got into this. Idiot. So this is how you go with the past tense. Just put the verb in the past form. Hmm. Yes, Samir. Hello, Samir. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. You go on. Thank you very much for the help. Okay. We are in the class. Are you guys? Hmm. Oh, I'll share again, no problems. He was here actually. Tawhid was in the breakout in the waiting room, but perhaps your internet is not so good, so he couldn't get in. I'll share the link again. Try and get better internet connection, okay? Maybe better signal somewhere. I'm sharing the link again. Yeah, see ya. So they started a band called the Beatles. The Beetle word has a meaning. It is actually an insect. Beetle is an insect. Okay. I don't know why they call themselves the Beatles. Okay, I think I know. The beetle makes some noise. Okay, very strange noise. Okay, like a cricket. Okay, Beatles I think also make a noise, and they were a band. They also made a noise. Okay, of course their noise was more beautiful, and it was music. So they call themselves the Beatles. The Beatles recorded their first single, "Love Me Do," in 1962. The Beatles recorded their first single, "Love Me Do," in 1962. Again, you can see they recorded past form. You make you may need to make the decision. What's your verb? Once you decide what your verb is, it's easy. You put that verb in the past form. So you want to say उन लोगों ने अपना पहला गाना record किया, record. They recorded. They recorded their first single, "Love Me Do." The name of that single was "Love Me Do," between inverted commas, right? In 1962. Take a look at it. In 1962, not on, okay? In 1962. And this is how we read the year 1962, not 1900, okay? 1962. Yeah. They became famous in 1963. They became famous in 1963 when they played more than 200 concerts. They became famous. Become is the verb. वो लोग famous हो गए. They became famous. They became famous in 1963 when they played more than 200 concerts. Concerts are performances on the stage when audience come to watch you. Okay. They played more than 200 concerts. Verb is play. They played. Play means khelna. That's one meaning. Okay. Play music. Music play karna. That's another meaning. And now play concerts. Concerts karna. Okay. Third meaning. So this is how you learn meaning for verbs. You don't learn play. You learn play with the object. Play cricket. Play hockey. Play a game. All right. Play music. And then play concerts. Now the third, you knew the word play. Okay, maybe you knew the word concerts too, but you didn't know how to put them together. When you saw this, play concerts, okay, from today on, it's easy. You can always say play concerts. So they played more than 200 concerts. They organized more than 200 concerts, right? In 1963. They became very famous. Just 1 year after, no, they formed the band in 1960, and they recorded their first single in 1962, 2 years later. And 1 year after that, they became famous because they played more than 200 concerts. In 1964, they went to the United States. Went to. They went to the United States for the first time. For the first time. पहली बार. पहली बार. English? नहीं, फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, बस सही बोला बेटा. फर्स्ट टाइम नहीं है बेटा, गौर से देखो ना. अगर फर्स्ट टाइम मतलब पहली बार, तो फॉर और द किस लिए लिखा है वो भी सोचो. दे वेंट टू द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स. वो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स गए फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, पहली बार. तो पहली बार का इंग्लिश फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. जब मैंने तुम्हें पहली बार देखा, व्हेन आई सॉ यू फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, आई थॉट, ओके. और जो मैंने सोचा वो मेरे दिमाग में रहने दो. ओके. एंड इसके एक सिंपल तरीका है बोलने का. व्हेन आई फर्स्ट सॉ यू. व्हेन आई first saw you. When I first saw you. Hasnan Athar is coming. Oh my goodness. Well, I did my best from my side. One cannot say complain. I did. Hasnan Athar has always struggled to be regular. Hasnan. Hello, Hasnan.
Hello, sir.
He's still in bed. His voice, sleepy voice. Hello, sir. Talk to your girlfriend so late at night, until so late at night, you can't get up early morning. You know, check his last scene on WhatsApp and Telegram and other places if you have. It will be 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, I'm sure. Or do you hide it, Hasnan? Some young people don't show their last scene because their secret will be out. भाई दुनिया में फ्रीडम ज्यादा है लेकिन ट्रांसपेरेंसी भी ज्यादा है ना? जहाँ ट्रांसपेरेंसी होती है वही फ्रीडम होता है. Okay, so they they went to the United States in 1964 for the first time and played on American television. Played on American television. अब इसकी एक हिंदी मैं बोलता हूँ कि वो अमेरिकन टेलीविजन ऐसे बैठ खड़ा कर दिया, उस पर चढ़ के प्ले किए. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं हुआ. Their performance was shown on TV. People could watch their performance on TV in America. So they played on American television. They played on American television. We simplify the language here for the elementary course. They played on American television. End of concerts. End of concerts. Yeah, both of you friends are together, Tahid and Samir. Okay, good. You guys are at your home, I think, huh? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, the the Beatles, end of concerts. We are reading the text, and the text will give you a chance to revise everything you studied so far technically about the past simple. You know how you form talk about past finished actions जो काम हो गए past में. Subject plus V2. खाली V2 use करना है. Look, the Beatles stopped. उन्होंने बंद कर दिया. The Beatles stopped. उन्होंने रोक दिया. They stopped क्या? Playing live concerts. They stopped playing live concerts in 1966. They stopped playing concerts in 1966. उसने मुझसे बातचीत करना बंद कर दिया. She stopped talking to me. Poor me. Right? Okay. उन्होंने मुझे पैसे देना बंद कर दिया. They stopped giving me money. All right. Paying me. All right. Yeah. The Beatles stopped playing live concerts. तुम लोगों ने मेहनत करना बंद कर दिया. You stopped working hard. Okay. The Beatles stopped playing live concerts in 1966 because the audience made so much noise that nobody could hear the music. Why did they stop? Because the audience made V2 of make हल्ला करना. वो लोग इतना हल्ला करते थे. यहाँ किया कहेंगे कि हल्ला करते थे. नहीं भाई, करते थे या किया करते थे, जो भी ठीक है. वो लोग इतना हल्ला किया करते थे कि मतलब कोई म्यूजिक सुन ही नहीं पाता था. ऑडियंस मेड सो मच नॉइज दैट नोबडी कुड हियर द म्यूजिक. सो दे सेड व्हाट्स द पॉइंट. दे स्टॉप प्लेइंग लाइव कॉन्सर्ट्स. बट दे कंटिन्यू टू रिकॉर्ड सॉन्ग्स. कंटिन्यूड पास्ट टेंस. उन लोग कंटिन्यू किए. वो लोग जारी रखे, करते रहे. क्या? गाने रिकॉर्ड करना. दे कंटिन्यूड टू रिकॉर्ड सॉन्ग्स. कोई भी पास्ट की बात बोलनी है, वर्ब ढूंढ लो. पुट द वर्ब इन द पास्ट फॉर्म. यू आर गुड टू गो. योर सेंटेंस इज करेक्ट. They continued to record songs. And in 1967, they made the album Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. What a name for an album. It's a really long, long name. Normally, you have small names like Sonu Nigam made an album called Divana. Faguni Pathak made an album called Savan or Sav, I don't remember, but normally they put small names so that people can easily say the names of the album. These guys made an album in 1967 and they called the album Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The last album they made was the last album they recorded together was Abbey Road. The last album they recorded together. Again, you have the subject and the verb. The subject here is they, and the verb is recorded. The last album they recorded together. गलत बात मैंने बोल दिया है, थोड़ा सा गौर समझिएगा. इस सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट दे और वर्ब रिकॉर्डेड नहीं है. इस सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट है द लास्ट एल्बम और वर्ब है बी वर्ब. द लास्ट एल्बम वाज एबी रोड. द लास्ट एल्बम वाज एबी रोड. यही है मेन बात. द लास्ट एल्बम वाज एबी रोड. द लास्ट एल्बम दे रिकॉर्डेड टुगेदर वाज एबी रोड. ठीक है. जिन्होंने दे को सब्जेक्ट समझा और रिकॉर्डेड को वर्ब, सेंटेंस फॉर्मेशन नहीं समझते हैं. यहाँ हम लोग कह रहे हैं द लास्ट एल्बम वाज एबी रोड. द लास्ट एल्बम, और उसमें कुछ ऐड कर रहे. कौन सा लास्ट एल्बम? द लास्ट एल्बम दे रिकॉर्डेड टुगेदर वाज एबी रोड. देखो, मैंने कहा द लास्ट फिल्म वाज बैड न्यूज. तो द लास्ट फिल्म वाज बैड न्यूज, ये क्या मतलब है? सेंटेंस अभी अधूरा अधूरा है. मतलब कंप्लीट है, मैसेज कंप्लीट नहीं है. द लास्ट एल्बम वाज एबी रोड, सॉरी, बैड न्यूज. द लास्ट मूवी वाज बैड न्यूज. आखिरी फिल्म बैड न्यूज थी. अब भाई मैं कुछ इसमें ऐड करके सेंटेंस की मीनिंग बदलता हूं. सुनो. द लास्ट मूवी विकी कौशल डिड वाज बैड न्यूज. अब देखो, उसी सेंटेंस में मैंने एक्स्ट्रा इंफॉर्मेशन ऐड कर दिया. द लास्ट मूवी विकी कौशल डिड वाज
Bad, bad news.
बैड न्यूज. अब मैं कहता हूं द लास्ट मूवी आई सॉ इन द सिनेमा हॉल वाज बैड न्यूज. अब मीनिंग दूसरी हो गई. अभी भी द लास्ट फिल्म वाज बैड न्यूज है ना, लेकिन उसमें कुछ डाल देने से एक्स्ट्रा मीनिंग ऐड कर दी मैंने. द लास्ट फिल्म I saw at the cinema hall was bad news. सुना दूसरा. The last film I watched with my wife was bad news. मैंने हो सकता अकेले कोई और फिल्म देखी हो आखिरी, लेकिन जो वाइफ के साथ आखिरी फिल्म देखी वो बैड न्यूज थी. तो द लास्ट फिल्म आई वॉच्ड विद माई वाइफ वॉज बैड न्यूज. तो आप यहाँ देख सकते हो द लास्ट एल्बम दे रिकॉर्डेड टुगेदर वॉज एबी रोड. आप ऐसे सेंटेंस बोल सकते हैं कि लास्ट, कोई भी लास्ट वर्ड लगा के या फर्स्ट वर्ड लगा के कुछ ऐसा बोलिए कि जो पहली पहली गर्लफ्रेंड मैंने बनाई थी वो रशिया की थी या कनाडा की थी, या ऐसे कुछ बोल सकते हैं. कैसे बोलेंगे? द फर्स्ट गर्लफ्रेंड आई मेड was from okay.
Russia.
ओके, चलिए दूसरा सेंटेंस देते हैं. कल जो तुमने चिकन करी बनाया था ना, बहुत टेस्टी था. द चिकन करी was tasty. Which chicken curry? The chicken curry you made yesterday. तो एक तरह से देखा जाए तो you made yesterday एक एडजेक्टिव का काम कर रहा है द चिकन के लिए. द चिकन was tasty. कौन सा चिकन भाई? तो चिकन नाउन है. अब उसके बारे में जो बताए वो एडजेक्टिव. द चिकन करी यू मेड यस्टरडे वाज वेरी टेस्टी. तो यू मेड यस्टरडे भी एक एडजेक्टिव का काम कर रहा है कि नहीं? चिकन के बारे में बता रहा है कि नहीं? कौन सा चिकन जो तुमने कल बनाया था वाज टेस्टी. ओके. द गर्ल वाज ब्यूटीफुल. लड़कियां सुंदर थी. कौन सी लड़कियां? तो उस गर्ल के बारे में कुछ बताना है. कौन सी? जो कोई नाउन के बारे में कोई वर्ड या फ्रेज कुछ बताए वो क्या होता है? एडजेक्टिव का काम करता है. तो लेट्स से द गर्ल आई मेट ऑन द ट्रेन यस्टरडे वाज ब्यूटीफुल. जो लड़कियां से हम कल मिले थे ना ट्रेन पे, सुंदर थी बहुत. द गर्ल आई मेट, और आई सॉ, रादर व्हाट आई मेट, आई जस्ट सॉ. ओके. द गर्ल आई सॉ ऑन द ट्रेन यस्टरडे वाज वेरी ब्यूटीफुल. तो आप गौर करिए कि वो द गर्ल के बाद आपने लिखा आई सॉ ऑन द ट्रेन. ये आपका सब्जेक्ट नहीं है आई सॉ. द सब्जेक्ट इज द गर्ल एंड द वर्ब इज बी. द गर्ल वाज ब्यूटीफुल. आप उसमें ऐड कर रहे हैं कुछ, ये आपका सेंटेंस नहीं है. आपका सेंटेंस है, जो लड़की को कल मैंने देखा था ना ट्रेन पे, सुंदर थी. द गर्ल वॉज ब्यूटिफुल. द गर्ल आई सॉ ऑन द ट्रेन वॉज वेरी ब्यूटिफुल. यहाँ लिखा है द लास्ट एल्बम दे रिकॉर्डेड टुगेदर वॉज एबी रोड. सो वॉज दिखा, वॉज आपका वर्ब है, बी वर्ब, और सब्जेक्ट है द लास्ट एल्बम वॉज एबी रोड. तो द लास्ट एल्बम आपका सब्जेक्ट है. And they recorded together is doing the job of an adjective. The last album they recorded together was Abbey Road. Done. Next. John Lennon married the artist Yoko Ono. Now, again, you see subject and verb. John Lennon married. इसकी हिंदी होगी, जॉन लेनन ने योको ओनो से शादी कर ली. जॉन लेनन मैरिड द आर्टिस्ट योको ओनो. जो आर्टिस्ट योको ओनो थी उनसे शादी कर ली. पास्ट में कोई काम हुआ, हुआ, फिनिश्ड एक्शन. आप सब्जेक्ट प्लस V2 से बताते हैं. अगर आप कहते हैं विराट कोहली मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा इन 2015 और 16, आई डोंट नो फॉर श्योर, वट एवर ईयर, विराट कोहली मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा, ठीक है, उसने उस साल उससे शादी कर ली, तो ये पास्ट टेंस है. लेकिन अगर मैं अभी की बात करूं तो मैं कहूंगा विराट कोहली इज मैरिड टू अनुष्का शर्मा. गौर करिएगा, विराट कोहली इज मैरिड टू अनुष्का शर्मा is a common sentence you already know. You studied this in the old units, unit 2 and 3. विराट कोहली is married to अनुष्का शर्मा. इसका मतलब उनकी पत्नी का नाम अनुष्का शर्मा है, उनसे उनकी शादी हुई है. ठीक है, तो विराट कोहली इज मैरिड टू अनुष्का शर्मा. ये पास्ट की बात नहीं बताने के लिए यूज किया जा रहा है, बताया जा रहा है ये है सिचुएशन अभी. विराट कोहली इज मैरिड, इज नॉट सिंगल, इज मैरिड टू अनुष्का शर्मा. बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द पास्ट टाइम, देन वी से विराट कोहली मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा. तो गौर करिए, व्हेन आई से विराट कोहली मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा, द वर्ब इज मैरी हियर इन द पास्ट फॉर्म, मैरिड. बट व्हेन आई से विराट कोहली इज मैरिड, यहाँ वर्ब है बी, और ये जो मैरिड है वो एडजेक्टिव है. कल बताया था मैंने आपको कि ईडी एडजेक्टिव कभी कभी आपको वर्ब जैसा दिखता तो है, और आप वर्ब और ईडी एडजेक्टिव में कंफ्यूज होते हैं. कल आप लोग हुए थे ना, ढेर सारे ईडी एडजेक्टिव्स ढूंढ डाले थे, the adjectives which were not there, right? 5-6 सब लोगों ने ढूंढ दिए थे. There were only 3, bored and excited. Okay, तो जब when I say विराट कोहली is married, तो ये married verb है कि adjective? विराट कोहली is married. विराट कोहली is rich, विराट कोहली is tall, विराट कोहली is happy, विराट कोहली is married. एक adjective है married. He is married to अनुष्का शर्मा. ओके, लेकिन जब आप वर्ब बोलते हो तो देखो कितना चीज बदल जाता है. विराट कोहली मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा. विराट कोहली मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा इन 2015, 16, whatever. ओके, उन्होंने 2015 में, विराट कोहली ने 2015 में अनुष्का शर्मा से शादी की. ही मैरिड अनुष्का शर्मा. डन. आसान है, कंफ्यूजिंग भी है. जिन लोग ऐसे नहीं पढ़ते उनको कभी ये क्लैरिटी नहीं आती है. मतलब मैं उनकी बात नहीं कर रहा जो बचपन से बहुत अच्छा इन्वायरमेंट मिलता है, जो अच्छी इंग्लिश सीखते हैं बचपन से. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट पीपल लाइक यू हु आर एडल्ट्स, दे डोंट नो इंग्लिश, दे गो टू क्लासेस, एंड दे 99% ऑफ देम विल नेवर गेट इट क्लियर. पढ़ते रहेंगे इंग्लिश, लेकिन ये सब क्लियर नहीं होने वाला है, क्योंकि जो तरीका है पढ़ने पढ़ाने का, इट डजंट हेल्प अंडरस्टैंड दीज डिफरेंसेस. तो बेटा, there are two sentences. One refers to past action. विराट कोहली married. Okay. विराट कोहली, चलिए बोलते हैं सैफ अली खान ने अमृता सिंह को तलाक दिया, राइट? 2014 में, 2010 में, 2011 में, कुछ भी ऐसे. तो ये कौन सा होगा? पास्ट टेंस. 2010 में कोई काम हुआ, इसका मतलब पास्ट टेंस. सैफ अली खान डिवोर्स्ड. सैफ अली खान को हटाइए, ऋतिक रोशन लाइए ताकि हमारा सेंटेंस अच्छा हो सके. ऋतिक रोशन divorced his wife Suzanne in 2009, 10, 11, कुछ भी ऐसा रख ले. अभी प्रेजेंट की बात करना चाहते हैं हम 2008-9 की बात नहीं करना चाहते. हम बोलेंगे ऋतिक रोशन is divorced. ऋतिक रोशन is not married. He is divorced. He is divorced. ये प्रेजेंट की बात है. वर्ब क्या है? बी वर्ब. और डिवोर्स्ड एक एडजेक्टिव है, ईडी एडजेक्टिव. तो ऐसे थोड़ी कंफ्यूज होते हैं लोग. डिवोर्स्ड यहाँ एडजेक्टिव, वहाँ डिवोर्स्ड वर्ब. और बाकी बच्चों को इतना एडजेक्टिव वर्ब सोचने का टाइम मिलता नहीं, कोई एनकरेज भी नहीं करता. हिंदी करने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो यहाँ डिवोर्स्ड और वहाँ डिवोर्स्ड की हिंदी थोड़ी सी बदल के होती है. थोड़ी सी क्या, दोनों में तलाक ही होएगा तो सही है. लेकिन एक में उसने तलाक दिया, एक में वो तलाकशुदा है. विराट कोहली, आई एम सेइंग ऋतिक रोशन डिवोर्स्ड हिज वाइफ इन 2010. उन्होंने अपनी पत्नी को 2010 में तलाक दे दिया. अभी कह रहे हैं फिर अगेन विराट कोहली. ऋतिक रोशन इज डिवोर्स्ड. लगता है उसका भी होगा. जितने बार पर मुंह से निकल गया है, लग रहा है ये आ रही है, क्या कहते हैं उसको, वो क्या आता है, वाईफाई कनेक्शन ऊपर वाला हमको दिए हुए है, वो पे मैसेज भिजवा रहा है. देखना बेटा, एक आध 2 साल के अंदर अगर इन दोनों का डिवोर्स हो जाएगा तो बोलना सर को पहले से ही आ गया था ऊपर से. ठीक है. ऑलराइट. हम्म. बार बार मेरे मुंह से निकल रहा, विराट कोहली इज डिवोर्स, विराट कोहली इज डिवोर्स. कुछ तो चल रहा है सर. हालांकि दोनों के बच्चे छोटे छोटे हैं, भगवान ना करे ऐसा हो. ओके. व्हाई वुड आई विश दैट? ऑफ कोर्स नॉट. हम्म. गॉड फॉरबिड, भगवान ना करे. क्या बोलते हैं? गॉड फॉरबिड. गॉड फॉरबिड, भगवान ना करे. गॉड फॉरबिड दे गेट डिवोर्स्ड. भगवान ना करे कि दोनों का डिवोर्स्ड. ओके. Okay, so I was just saying, John Lennon married who? The artist Yoko Ono. ना टू ना कुछ, है ना. तो कब मैरिड के बाद टू लगना है, कब नहीं लगना है, ये सब याद करने की चीज नहीं है, प्रैक्टिस करने की चीज है. याद करने में लोग पागल हो जाएंगे, प्रैक्टिस करने में कुछ नहीं होगा. आई एम मैरिड टू एक्स वाई जेड. क्या बोलेंगे? आई एम नॉट मैरिड. आई एम नॉट मैरिड टू एक्स वाई जेड, आई एम मैरिड टू ABC. राइट. किसी को कंफ्यूजन हो गया आपके बारे में, तो आपने कहा ना ना ना, आई एम नॉट मैरिड टू एक्स वाई जेड, आई एम मैरिड टू ABC. ओके. आई मैरिड XYZ इन द पास्ट. किसी से शादी की मैंने, पास्ट, पास्ट टेंस. ओके. तो ही मैरिड योको ओनो इन 2000, सॉरी, इन 1969. एंड इन 1970 द बीटल्स ब्रोक अप. देखा, लड़की आई, कुनबा टूटा. In 1970, the Beatles broke up. कितना टाइमिंग लिखा है. He married the girl in 1969 and they broke up in 1970, 1 year later. And you know why and how it happened? This girl, Yoko Ono, started, saying to this guy, John, you are the most talented person in this band. Why are they getting the credit? You should work alone. Most wives say this to their husbands. Do something on your own. Alone without your papa and without your brothers. उनका खुद का ईगो रहता ही है, ससुराल में पूरा कंट्रोल रहे इन पे. Okay, this is the reality of middle class women. They want complete control of their husbands, and that's why they say these things. They are not well wishers of their husbands. Sorry, they are selfish women. They just want complete control, and it's easier when the husband is alone. When he is with his family, his brothers, his wife, his father, his family, his mom, his sisters, it's difficult to have a complete control. And I'm sorry, I'm saying this, I sound like a sexist person when I'm saying this, but this is the reality of middle class women because they're financially not independent. They depend totally on their husbands. So the best way to secure their position is to have the control over the person who brings money. So they say these things. Oh, you are really talented. You are the only one who works hard. They keep saying all these things, not because they mean it. This is the way they can control their husbands. It has been going on for thousands of years, not a few hundreds, thousands of years. Men have always been the providers, traditionally. Providers means खाना ला के देने वाला, बोले तो ठीक है. Men have always done it. Recently, in last 100 years, We have seen women going out to earn money. Before that, women did not play a role in bringing money. Okay, it was husband's job. Wife's job was to take care of the family only. And you have seen Jodha Akbar, the series, and you see how Mahamanga tries to control Akbar because Akbar is the Badsha, he's the king, and Mahamanga is a woman. She cannot really have much. So she tries to control the king by just, poisoning his ears against his own wives and against his own people. That's what wives do in middle class families, lower middle class families. And where women are educated, they understand that if their husband is happy with his family, they are going to be happy. Why? Because they are going to live with their husband's family. Samajhdar women, mature women understand this. How can a man be happy fighting with those people he has always lived with? I have always lived with my mom, my brother, my sister. How can I be happy when I fight with those people? So, my wife, if she makes me quarrel with them, then she is not a smart person. As simple as that. Yes, she will have a control of me, but I will not be the same happy person that she will control. I will be an unhappy person, a negative person she will control, right? So the best way to control somebody is kill them, control the dead body, easier. Well, I may sound very, very, critical of those wives, but yes, it is the truth of a lot of families getting into fights, breaking up. And some families, mothers teach these things to their daughters how to control their husbands. When the girls are 16, 17, 18, the mothers start their tutorial. Like you come to Sony tutorial classes to learn spoken English, they start their tutorial how to control their husbands. ऐसे करना, वैसे करना. I have seen these things in my relatives as well. I will not mention because it's being recorded. Not by us, then it's being recorded after all, you see. But I've seen my aunts, which aunts I won't say. In when you say aunts, there are four, right? I'll leave that mystery as mystery. They teach their daughters, when the daughters come home after, being married, तो husband को अच्छे से खाना खिलाना है. का है भैया? का है अच्छे से खिलाना?
हस्बैंड कंट्रोल में रहता है.
हाँ, एग्जैक्टली. मैंने कहा ऐसे ऐसी औरतें ऐसी सी बेटियां मुझे इनके चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना. आई डिसाइडेड नॉट टू डू अरेंज मैरिज. मेरी वाइफ को भी कोई सिखा रहा होता कहीं, उसकी माँ सिखा रही होती, उसकी चाची बुआ सिखा रही होती, बेटा ऐसे कंट्रोल करते हैं हस्बैंड को. अब कोई सिखाएगा तो मुश्किल होगी ना मुझे. मैंने कहा भाई ना, find somebody who's not being taught. Someone who loves me, wants to be with me, not because her papa is paying me 3 lakh rupees, so हाँ भैया इसके साथ रहना है क्योंकि 3 लाख रुपया पापा ने दिया है. You choose me, I choose you. Okay, we choose each other. Of course, we will have fights. Of course, we will have problems with each other. But we will love each other, so we will try to solve the problems together. Husband and wife cannot be only happy. They must have fights because they are two individuals living together in the same house. But when they love each other, things become easy. They can sort out their differences. They can work out their problems, figure out what the solution is. In an arranged marriage, some people are lucky. They develop a bond with each other. I'm not saying all wives control their husbands, no, but there are a lot of wives who try to control their husbands. Okay, they are psychopaths. Psychopath is a very heavy word. No emotions. सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपना selfish interest. क्या करना है manipulation कि ये हासिल होगा. Emotion नाम की कोई चीज नहीं. Some of them are psychopaths. Most husbands and wives, when they live together, they develop feelings for each other. Whether it is a love marriage or arranged marriage, irrespective of that, they develop emotions. Human beings are like that. You guys stay here for 2 years with me and you will like me in a different way. आपको कुछ भी मेरे बारे में पता चलेगा उल्टा पुल्टा तो आपको बुरा लगेगा. आप यहाँ मेरे साथ 2 महीने रह के चले जाओ, आपको कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Human beings are like that. When we spend time with each other, we grow emotionally connected. That's natural. There are very few people who don't do that, who are emotionally so distant they do not get attached. Otherwise, most of us have this weakness, and this is a good weakness, I think, to be emotionally connected with people when you spend time with them. You care about them, you know, and that's why, I quarrel with my, not I will say quarrel, I kind of get angry with my old students more than my new students because I feel a stronger bond with them. जब वो बेवकूफ़ी करते हैं तो उनको डांटते समय मेरे को ज़्यादा लगता है कि मैं ज़्यादा जोर से डांट सकता हूँ उनको हक हक सा महसूस होता है when they have been old for some long time. Otherwise आपको लगता है ये तो पैसे दे के पढ़ रहे हैं इनको कितना ही डांट सकते हैं आप what I mean. Okay. Anyways, coming back to this, Yoko Ono came, and in 1970 the Beatles broke up. आपने breakup सुना है? Broke up is the past form of breakup. We only use the phrase breakup for boyfriend girlfriends, right? But any family can break up, group can break up when they disintegrate, when they separate. That's called breaking up, okay? So they broke up. John and Yoko moved to New York. These two decided to go, this time moved to, not went to. They decided to live, okay? Moved to New York, not went to New York. They moved to New York. They decided to live there. They said, we will live in New York. John wrote and sang his most famous song, his most famous song, Imagine, in 1971, a crazy song. If you listen to it, most of you will not agree with him, but his ideas are absolutely wonderful. John wrote and sang his most famous song, Imagine, in 1971. I suggest you guys listen to this song, okay? Read the lyrics of the song, try and understand what he says. A wonderful man with a great, great vision for the world, but sadly, he died very, very young. In 1980, he recorded a new album, Double Fantasy. In 1980, he recorded a new album, Double Fantasy. Now that I don't know about the lyrics of the song, Double Fantasy, the album, but fantasy is a desire. A fantasy is it's a dream, which is unlikely to come true. For example, children have a fantasy. They want to fly like birds. Now tell me, do you think it will happen? So normally fantasies are dreams which are unlikely to come true. They will not come true. When you have when you are little older, you have a fantasy you want to be on the moon. How many children go onto the moon actually? And then when you are a teenager, you have different kinds of fantasies. When you are adults, you have different fantasies. Some of your fantasies are dark fantasies, which you don't want to talk about in public, right? Dark fantasies, those desires which are not likely to come true. Maybe you're lucky or unlucky, I don't know. They might come true. For example, you think of yourself on an island with Katrina Kaif and you. Vicky Kaushal is not there. That's a fantasy for some guys, I'm pretty sure.
Think
Uh,
about Salman Khan.
पता नहीं सलमान खान आपके आपके फैंटेसी का हिस्सा होगा सर मेरे नहीं
No, 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 sir, no, sir, no, sir. You don't understand. You don't
I
understand.
know, I know.
I,
I
I think
deliberately misunderstood you.
I
मैंने
tell you.
जानबूझ के आपको misunderstand किया. Don't worry.
Yes, yes, yes. Katrina Kaif.
नहीं भाई मेरी फैंटेसी है कटरीना कैफ तो फिर मैं क्यों जाऊं सलमान को बुलाऊं उसमें कटरीना
No,
विद
no,
मी
no, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. I say, um, um, I said,
Salman Khan has
I said,
Katrina in his fantasies. Okay, got
no, yes, sir.
it.
In many interviews, people hesitate to, matlab people hesitate
Hesitate to ask him.
taking name of Katrina Kaif because of Salman Khan, not Vicky Kaushal.
Okay. All right. I was just saying that fantasy is a desire. Like I was giving an example that you think of yourself on an island with your favorite actress. That's a fantasy. That's a fantasy. You live in your fantasy world. किसी को कोई कहता है तुम अपनी ही ख्यालों की दुनिया में रहते हो. You live in your own fantasy world. Okay, हाँ. तो वैसे डबल फैंटेसी आप कटरीना को भी बुला लीजिए और दीपिका पादुकोण को भी बुला लीजिए डबल फैंटेसी ओके तो anyways that was the album he recorded in 1980. He was killed a month later. He was killed a month later. He was killed a month later. एक महीने बाद. एक महीना कहाँ से गिनूं मैं? a month later. कहाँ से गिरूं? Reference point. Reference point. Exactly. Since he made his album, since he released his last album, Double Fantasy. He was killed a month later. जैसे ही कोई later word आए, उसके पीछे जो बात हो रही होगी ना, वो reference point होता है. Okay. So he recorded a new album called Double Fantasy, and he was killed a month later. So a month from that album. Okay. Since that album was released, he was killed a month later. Now he was killed. अब यहाँ पर थोड़ा confusion होना चाहिए आपके दिमाग में कि सर आप बोले killed, फिर यहाँ was killed, ये दो क्यों? तो बेटा उसने किसी को मारा. He means यहाँ what? जॉन लेनन ना. तो जॉन लेनन ने किसी को किल किया, वो खुद किल हो गया बेचारा. जॉन लेनन was killed. देखो somebody killed जॉन लेनन. अब देखो आगे ना V2. Somebody killed जॉन लेनन. किसी ने जॉन लेनन को मार दिया. Somebody killed जॉन लेनन. सब्जेक्ट V2 आ गया जो आप पढ़े थे अब तक. लेकिन इसी बात को ऐसे बोल सकते हैं, जॉन लेनन was killed. Somebody killed John Lennon. John Lennon was killed. मैं और एग्जांपल दूं. Somebody saw me. Somebody saw me. I was seen. I was, मुझे देख लिया गया. Somebody saw me. किसी ने मुझे देखा. I was seen. मुझे, right? Somebody slapped me. Somebody slapped me. किसने मुझे थप्पड़ मारा. तो मैं आई से भी बोल सकता हूँ इस बात को बेटा. I was slapped. देख रहे हो कैसा एक पैटर्न चल रहा है. अगर आज इसकी 4 सेंटेंस की प्रैक्टिस ना करो तुम घर जाके, तो मैं तो मान नहीं सकता कि तुम इंग्लिश सीखना चाहते हो. नहीं मानूंगा, कभी नहीं मानूंगा. बिकॉज ये है इंपॉर्टेंट कि तुम्हें दोनों ही चीजें दिख रही हैं. एक में स्लैप दिख रहा है, एक में वॉज स्लैप दिख रहा है. और तुम्हें इसका मतलब भी समझ में आ रहा है. अभी तो आ रहा है ना. somebody slapped me. I was slapped. अभी सेंटेंस सुनो. I was slapped at the party. I was मतलब मैंने किसी को मारा नहीं. I slapped बोलते तब तो हम मारते. I was slapped at the party मतलब मुझे पार्टी में थप्पड़ मारा गया. किसी ने मुझे थप्पड़. somebody slapped me at the party, right? I slapped XYZ मतलब, हाँ, तो सब्जेक्ट और वर्ब का कॉम्बिनेशन देखना समझना, दैट्स कॉल्ड लर्निंग बेसिकली इन इंग्लिश. सो ही वाज किल्ड. जितने एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं काफी है. घर पे बैठ के रिकॉर्डिंग देखें और 4-5 सेंटेंसेस लिखते. ज्यादा नहीं. 2000 सेंटेंस नहीं लिखने, 20 नहीं लिखने. 2, 3, 4, 5 जितने में दिमाग में घुस गया, बात खत्म. ही वाज किल्ड. उनको मार दिया गया. ही वाज किल्ड. ही वाज किल्ड. ही डिड नॉट किल एनीबॉडी. वो किसी को नहीं मारे. ही वाज किल्ड. somebody killed him. Somebody killed John Lennon. John Lennon was killed a month later. An American, Mark Chapman, shot him, killed him, shot him. Shot is the V2 of shoot. Shot him. कैसे मारा? गोली से मारा कि तलवार से मारा? Shot him. Okay. Somebody shot him outside his New York apartment. Where? Outside his New York apartment. Somebody shot him. Somebody shot him. Where? Outside his New York apartment. Somebody shot him outside his New York apartment near Central Park. 2 days before his murder, 2 days before his murder, murder के 2 दिन पहले, 2 days before his murder, 2 days before my marriage, मेरी शादी के 2 दिन पहले. All right? 2 days before my admission, कुछ ऐसा बोल सकते हैं ना दोस्तों. 2 days before her marriage, okay, उसकी शादी के 2 दिन. 2 days before his murder. अभी उस फ्रेज को अंडरलाइन कर रही है सैम, और ऐसा ही करना चाहिए पढ़ते समय. जिस बात पे मैं एम्फेसाइज करवाऊं वहां पे पेंसिल चलाओ, हाइलाइटर चलाओ, ताकि घर जाके उस पे क्योंकि ये सब चीजें बोलने में मुश्किल होती है। मैं आई एम योर टीचर, आई हैव द एक्सपीरियंस, आई नो एग्जैक्टली व्हाट विल ट्रबल यू, सो आई हाईलाइट दोज थिंग्स, आई एक्सप्लेन दोज थिंग्स मोर इन डिटेल। मैंने इसको इसीलिए डिटेल में कर बताया, बिकॉज यू आर गोइंग टू बी अ लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूज्ड हियर। तो अंडरलाइन किए, हाईलाइट किए, प्रैक्टिस एट होम, यू विल फील कॉन्फिडेंट। जो भी मुश्किल चीज होती है उस पर थोड़ा समय दे दीजिए, यू विल फील कॉन्फिडेंट। 2 days before his murder, John Lennon told an interviewer. What did he say? He told an interviewer. फिर मैंने कहा what did he say? देखना say और tell का difference. He told an interviewer. He told an, और फिर मैं बोल रहा हूँ what did he say? क्या बोला भाई? क्या बोला मैं what did he say मैं बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन किसको बोला मैं tell बोल रहा हूँ. He told an interviewer. उसने interviewer को बताया, कहा क्या कहा? I feel safe in New York. बेचारा, poor guy. He said he felt safe in New York. क्या बोला? I feel safe in New York. He said he felt safe in New York 2 days before his murder. What an irony, no? He said, I feel safe in New York. It's my home. I can go anywhere. And somebody shot him in New York outside his apartment. And the story of this someone, Mark Chapman, why he shot him, is very interesting. He was not angry with him. He did not hate him. On the contrary, he loved him, he respected him, he liked him. He wanted to be in the Beatles. Mark Chapman himself was a musician and he wanted to join the Beatles, but the Beatles had broken up. So he thought now he had no chance to be famous. So he thought, and he wanted to associate his name with John Lennon. Uska ek hi maqsad tha. He just wanted to be associated with John Lennon. He thought now that the Beatles are gone, the band is gone, the Beatles is gone, sorry, the band is gone. The only way I can associate my name with John Lennon is if I kill him, then whenever people talk about John Lennon, they will talk about me. And he killed. Huh? It was absolutely, psychotic way of thinking. No healthy person thinks like this, but he psychotic, crazy, okay? Psychotic means crazy. So it was absolutely psychotic. He killed him because he wanted to associate his name with that guy. He said, whenever people talk about John Lennon, they will talk about me because I was his murderer. Can you believe it? That's why he died, John Lennon. What a sad reason to die. Oh God. Guys, this is the exercise. For exercise 1 and 2, unit part 1 and 2 of exercise 5 on the left side. I hope you guys will get all the answers right. We will check them tomorrow. And I have one complaint. Why do you guys come late? I think the class time is 7. And most of you come here at 7:15. That's not right. You should be here by 7:05. देखा मैंने use किया? By. You should come here by 7:05. ज़्यादा था ना? तुम 7:03 में आ जाओ, 7:04 में आ जाओ, 7 बजे आ जाओ. By, you should come here by 7:05, okay? And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I want you to do another exercise at home. This time, not a reading exercise, a listening exercise. Why? फिर से सोचो, जो past tense पढ़े, subject, V2, didn't, did, question, ये सब. Now it is time to practically understand these things in the spoken form. So what could be a better way than a listening exercise? You guys going to listen to an interview, or not an interview, a conversation between a grandson and a grandfather. And they're both talking about the Beatles and John Lennon. Okay? So you are familiar with the topic a little bit? And you will listen to a lot of sentences in the past simple. The grandfather, when he talks about his time, he will say, ऐसा होता था, ऐसा करते थे, हम ऐसा किए थे, right? He will need a lot of past tense. So he's going to talk to his grandson. You listen and do exercise 6 listening. I'm going to share the audio file with you guys. And do all the exercises. Exercise 6, part 1 and 2. Okay? And this will be your ultimate practice for the past simple. Abhi tak reading practice tha. It's somewhat easier. Listening practice is the most challenging because sun ke samajhne mein you don't have time. So I'm gonna share the audio file with you guys. Okay? Fine. Let's meet tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care. Have a nice day, guys.